The doll's glass eyes caught the hallway light, like two cold coins. Detective Maya Reed froze. The baby's room was a mess of shadows and soft toys. The crib was empty. The air smelled like lemon cleaner and fear. The Labubu doll sat in the middle of the floor. It had a wide, cartoon smile and tall ears. It looked playful, almost silly, but a tiny red dot glowed in one eye. It blinked. Maya lifted her hand for silence. Officer Connor Blake stopped on the threshold. The house was quiet, too quiet, except for a low sound like a recording stuck on repeat click, click, click. Maya knelt and touched the doll's fur. The click grew louder. She turned the doll's head. A hidden lens stared back at her from the eye. The lens hummed. A small green light flashed on the doll's chest. Then a voice came through a speaker inside its body. The voice was male and smooth. The words were slow, like he was smiling. "Detective," the voice said. "You made it. You're late." Maya's heart hammered. She looked at the empty crib. "Where's Lily?" she said, trying to keep her voice calm. The voice laughed, soft and wrong. "Don't worry. She loves a ride." Connor stepped in, hand on his radio. "We have a live feed, maybe. A camera in the doll," he whispered. He pointed to the blinking light. "Could be streaming." "Who are you?" Maya asked. "What do you want?" The doll's head trembled like it wanted to nod. "I want you to see. I want you to listen. 30 minutes, detective. Then the game ends." A timer lit up on the doll's belly. 30 minutes. The number started to fall. Connor swore under his breath and ran to the window. The glass was locked from the inside. The curtains fluttered though the night was still. Maya lifted the doll and held it close to her ear. The speaker hissed. A car door slammed somewhere in the audio. A train horn moaned. She pictured tracks that cut the town in two. "Connor, called in," Maya said. "Amber Alert Protocol. We have a child in danger. Keep it clean on the radio." "He's listening." The doll speaker clicked again. "Good girl, Maya." Her stomach turned. "How do you know my name?" "Because I've watched," the voice said, "all week." Maya's mouth felt dry. She reached into the doll and found a thin wire. She didn't pull it. Not yet. The doll was the only link to the baby. "Tell me what you want," she said. "Tell me where Lily is." The voice sighed like a tired dad. "Ask the doll," he said. "It remembers better than people do." The line went dead. The doll went quiet. The timer kept dropping. Maya stood and faced the dark hall. "We follow the trail," she said, but the house gave no answer. Somewhere below them, a door creaked open. Cliffhanger. 2 weeks earlier, the Miller family was happy and tired. They had a new baby girl, Lily, who liked to kick and stare at ceiling fans. The Millers lived in a small blue house on Birch Street, not far from the river in Cedar Falls, Ohio. The town was the kind with summer fairs and a high school team that lost more than it won. The Millers liked to hear. It felt safe. On a Saturday morning, Claire Miller found a Labubu doll at a yard sale. It sat on a table between a box of old books and a chip lamp. The doll's tall ears poked up like a rabbit. Its grin was sweet and bright. "How much?" Claire asked. The seller was a thin woman with chapped lips. She wore a sweater even though it was warm. $5, she said. "It came from my nephew. He's older now. Doesn't want toys." Claire smiled. "It's cute," she said. She imagined it in Lily's room, bright against the yellow walls. She paid and pressed the doll to her chest. The fur felt soft. She didn't notice the small rays hidden near the eye. She didn't see the tiny seam along the belly where the camera sat. That night, Claire set the doll on the shelf near the crib. Mark Miller, her husband, filmed Lily with his phone. "Look at that smile," he said. "She loves her new friend." The doll's smile shone back in the screen, like it was pleased. On Monday, Claire noticed the doll on a rocking chair. She thought she had left it on the shelf. She had not slept much. The days blurred. She moved it back. On Tuesday, the doll was on the floor by the window. Claire frowned. She picked it up and laughed at herself. "Sleep brain," she told Lily. But that night, as she folded laundry, she heard a soft click from the baby monitor. The sound was like a camera shutter. She walked into the nursery. The doll was on the rug again, tilted toward the crib. "Mark," she called. "Did you move this?" Mark leaned in the doorway with a yawn. "Babe, I haven't moved any doll." He kissed her head. "You're seeing things. We need naps." Claire placed the doll back on the shelf. She didn't notice that the shelf was exactly level with the window. She didn't see how the dolls I had a clean line of sight across the street to the corner, where the mailman stopped each morning, to the bus where teens laughed, to the porch of the house with the for rent sign. On Wednesday, a white van appeared on the block. It parked under a tree. It had no logo, only a magnet sticker that read, "Consolidated Heating." No one on Birch Street had called a heater company in May, but people were busy. They didn't look close. Detective Maya Reed was new to Cedar Falls PD. She had moved from Columbus after a hard year. She liked the slow river, the donut shop near the station, and the way the town still waved at patrol cars. She did not like the string of odd calls that week. A house window found open without a break-in. A woman who swore she heard a whisper through a baby monitor. A report of a man in a hoodie who never ordered coffee, but sat for an hour and watched the door. Maya kept notes in a blue book. Wednesday's page read, "Small things, maybe big." On Friday, Claire drove to the grocery store. Lily slept in the car seat. The Labubu doll sat beside her to keep her company. The radio played a talk show about summer storms. At a stoplight, the car behind them tapped its horn. Claire jumped and checked the rearview mirror. A man in a bald cap waved like he was sorry. He looked ordinary. She moved forward. At home, Claire carried bags inside. It took 2 trips. When she came back for the last bag and Lily, she saw something small in the car seat. A square of black tape stuck to the buckle. It felt like a sticker. She peeled it off and tossed it into the trash. She never saw the tiny chip inside, the one that sent a signal when it moved. That night, Maya ate soup at her desk. She watched the rain streak down the glass. Officer Connor Blake dropped a file on the table. "Another weird one," he said. "Guy says someone sat outside his house all day in a van with a heater sign. Company has no record. Plate comes back to a rental." Maya wrote, "White van, heater sticker, rental. Could be nothing," Connor said. "Or it could be something." "Small things," Maya said, tapping her blue book. On Saturday, the Millers hired a babysitter for the first time since the baby. Her name was Abby. She was 17 and careful. Claire wrote a list and put on the fridge. "Call if you need anything," she said. "We'll be home by 10. Abby rocked Lily and watched the baking show. The Labubu doll sat on the shelf, head tilted toward the couch. Every so often, a car passed outside. The rain had stopped. The night was clean and cool. At 9:18 p.m., the front door camera beeped. A man stood on the porch. He wore a gray hoodie and held a pizza box. Abby opened the door a crack. "We didn't order pizza," she said. The man kept his head down. "Free promo," he said. "New shop in town." "I'm not supposed to open the door to strangers," Abby said. He slid the box forward. "No charge. Just leave a review online." He pointed to a sticker with a QR code. Abby hesitated. The box smelled like warm dough. She reached for it. As she did, her eyes felt hot and prickly, like she had stared at the sun. A sudden chemical bite hit her nose. She sneezed. "Sorry," she said, stepping back. The man didn't push. He gave a small nod and left the box on the porch mat. Then he walked down the steps and disappeared into the dark. Abby locked the door and carried the box to the kitchen. She lifted the lid and saw nothing but a cardboard insert and a piece of paper. It said, "Scam me." She wrinkled her nose and tossed the box into the trash. She washed her hands. Her eyes still stung. She opened the windows to air out the room. Across the street, the white van idled without lights. At 9:31 p.m., the baby monitor hissed. Abby stood and listened. She heard a faint click, like a photograph being taken. She walked to the nursery. The room was still. She checked the crib. Lily slept, small and perfect. The Labubu doll sat on the rug, turned toward the door. Abby frowned. "How did you get down here?" she asked the doll, like it could answer. She set it back on the shelf and went to the kitchen for water. At 9:36 p.m., the side gate latch lifted and fell. At 9:38 p.m., the Wi-Fi cut out for 10 seconds, then came back. At 9:40 p.m., Detective Maya Reed's phone buzzed on her nightstand. It was a text from Connor. Odd chatter on the neighborhood channel. "You awake?" She was. She always was. She grabbed her keys. At 9:46 p.m., Abby checked the front door. Locked. She checked the back door. The key was in the deadbolt, just as Claire had left it. Abby turned the key and took it out. She put it on the counter. She heard a faint whistle then, like wind under a door. At 9:49 p.m., Claire and Mark turned onto Birch Street. They saw the white van under the tree. "Heater company?" Mark asked. "In May?" Claire slowed. She saw their porch light was off. She always left it on. Her pulse picked up. She parked and got out. The air smelled like rain and lemon cleaner. At 9:50 p.m., Maya pulled onto Birch from the other end. Lights off. Her blue book lay open on the seat. She saw the van. She saw the Miller's car. She felt the first cold spike of fear. At 9:51 p.m., everything happened at once. A dull thud came from the side of the house. The baby monitor clicked twice, as if someone had switched channels. The front porch camera showed static and then went black. The side gate swung open and shut. The Labubu doll's eye lit with a tiny red glow. In the crib, Lily stirred. Abby ran down the hall. Claire and Mark ran up the steps. Maya moved fast across the lawn. Badge up, the white van's engine turned over. Abby reached the nursery and froze. The crib was